What's up, COD fans? Good to see you guys back. IHOLDSHIFT with you here at the airport, getting ready to go home, which is sad. But I also have Mr. J Pistachio here with me. Look at that guy. Everyone knows that guy. Everyone likes that guy. Try to ignore all of the overhead announcements coming through. Let's talk COD while we still have the chance to. Again, day number 3 was an exciting one. We had a lot of pivotal matchups that were coming through. We had London and Paris. We had Optic versus Chicago. We had New York and Atlanta, whatever about that one. Then we had Toronto and Minnesota to finish things off. So a lot of things to talk about. Let's go ahead and dig straight in with two teams that were coming in 1-0, with London and Paris starting things off. Ramaza Hardpoint would be up absolutely first, and honestly speaking, I thought for sure that London was going to be able to take this no problem. But really, the first rotation between P3 P4 for London was absolutely awful. Rated only had 2 kills through about the first rotation of the hills. You don't like to see that, and with that stat line, Paris were able to survive the map 1 without much cause for concern. London would start off really hot though on the search and destroy for the Arklov Peak. Huge clutches coming through for the brothers of Scraps and Wuskin, but Paris would adapt after being down 4-0 and win 6 rounds straight, able to take map number 2, and the domination would come through, and Shox and Zed, my goodness, they played really well this weekend. They would pop off throughout the first half, and that total would become insurmountable on the Gunrunner Dom, and Paris will find a 3-0 versus their European counterparts. Definitely not at all what I think anyone expected, especially with how good London looked in their first match on day number, what was it, 2? They played, or day number 1? I don't remember. London, when they played New York. Day 2? Sure, day 2. We'll say it's day 2. It sounds great. So that was interesting to kind of see how Paris, obviously being able to do very, very well. But now you kind of had the question mark of, was New York actually any good when London beat them? Or was this Paris team playing up against essentially 2 mediocre squads? We'll talk about that later. Going to Optic Gaming versus Chicago. Flat out, this Optic Gaming team is probably the worst team in the COD League right now. They are absolutely lost. Justin Pistachio liked that call. They looked absolutely terrible. Late rotations, 5-man hits for scrap time, no setups, just completely lost. No problem for Chicago on the Zero Cave, 251.76 there. Normal would absolutely pop off, would have been to Piccadilly for the search and destroy. We saw a lot of that throughout the weekend. When we saw Piccadilly, sniper gameplay determined just about everything. It would in this one as well. Formal absolutely masterpiece. 9-3 after 7 rounds just using the scope. 6-2 Chicago, no worries there. Then we go to the domination. And it was a little bit of a rough start for Optic, and I thought for sure this was going to be about 240 to about 110, something in that ballpark. But Optic would start to battle back. This is all on Hackney Yard. They played a very good side of the A flag when they had that good side, and they were able to start coming back and forth. But Chicago would be able to clutch up. Formal and Envoy capping the last point on B right when it mattered. 193-186. Chicago rolls 3-0. Third setup, New York versus Atlanta. This would be a true test to see, was New York actually just really bad when they played up against London? Would they be able to even put up a fight whatsoever against this Atlanta team? Honestly, it seemed like New York was putting up quite a fight versus this Atlanta team. Would start off on the Gunrunner hardpoint first. And Atlanta did not look like their normal selves playing this map. They were rotating from P2 to P3 with about 30 seconds left, giving up a lot of scrap time and then not even hitting a lot of early time on the minecarts hill, keeping New York in this game to essentially one last hill. 211-250, though Atlanta will survive. Then we go to the search and destroy. This Atlanta team is absolutely just poetry in motion when it comes to playing search. Doesn't drop a single round throughout the weekend versus either Dallas or here against New York. 6-0, no problem whatsoever. Very dominating performance for them. Then we go to the domination. And New York was actually able to find themselves a pretty significant amount of triple cap time. About almost a full minute worth of triple cap time, in fact, and we were kind of sitting here saying, Atlanta, what is going on with your domination? Because their Gunrunner yesterday did not look all that great, and here on Hackney, it was also a little bit all over the place. So definitely interested to see New York with that triple cap, able to essentially run away with this one, 201-136. Definitely some work to be done there for Atlanta. And then we'd finish things off on the Petro hardpoint. This was 100% not New York's pick. They did not look good here really whatsoever. They were able to string together a couple of hills late to make it at least somewhat respectable, but it was 250-122. Atlanta FaZe looking absolutely insane. And then we get the battle for the North. Toronto going up against Minnesota. It was absolutely fun. I didn't even take notes of it. I was just screaming my lungs out the entire time. Really, really fun game to watch, though. Definitely go back and rewatch it. Lots of energy from the crowd. Lots of hometown heroes there. But it would be Silly absolutely playing insanely well throughout the entirety of the set. Hackney Yard hardpoint 250-229 in a close one. They would drop the search and destroy Ramaza. Definitely some work to be done there for Minneapolis in the Minnesota game. But then you've got domination and hardpoint, both of which would go in favor of Minnesota. 188-172, 250 125. So going as far as what the standings look like after week number 1, again, you've got teams that are 2-0, teams that are 1-1, and teams that are 0-2. Separated by 4 apiece. That's just the way that goes. So Atlanta, Chicago, Paris, and Minnesota currently sitting at 2-0. We'll talk about that in power rankings as far as what that it will actually look like for teams like Paris. The 1-1 squads would be Toronto, Florida, London, Los Angeles. And then I think a little bit on the surprising side, Dallas Empire 0-2, New York Subliners 0-2, and Optic and Seattle also 0-2 to kind of round things out. Coming up throughout the rest of the week, we'll be doing a couple of analysis pieces on some of the rotations and stuff like that that were really, really interesting and caught my eye. Got power rankings coming back for you guys, and we'll be doing more content throughout the entirety of the week. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure you go ahead and hit the subscribe button. We'll catch you guys right back here for another one. Until next time, keep holding it down. Later. Bye-bye.